I'm Alex Sharfin, and this is the Momentum Podcast, made for empire builders, game changers, trailblazers, shot takers, record breakers, world makers, and creators of all kinds. Those among us who can't turn it off and don't know why anyone would want to. We challenge complacency, destroy apathy, and we are obsessed with creating momentum so we can roll over bureaucracy and make our greatest contribution. Sure, we pay attention to their rules, but only so that we can bend them, break them, then rewrite them around our own will. We don't accept our destiny, we define it. We don't understand defeat because you only lose if you stop, and we don't know how. While the rest of the world strives for average and clings desperately to the status quo, we are the minority, the few, who are willing to hallucinate there could be a better future, and instead of just daydreaming of what could be, we endure the vulnerability and exposure it takes to make it real. We are the evolutionary hunters, clearly the most important people in the world, because entrepreneurs are the only source of consistent, positive human evolution, and we always will be. Vision without a plan destroys trust. This week up in Boise, I got to connect with a bunch of different entrepreneurs that are growing teams really fast. You know, I've said this before, with ClickFunnels, it is such an accelerator of sales and marketing, and it shows entrepreneurs a way to conquer sales and marketing with very little staff and very little organizational drag. And so as a result, the ClickFunnels ecosystem is full of entrepreneurs that are doubling $1 million plus companies. And this weekend, I spoke to somebody who had about a 1.5, I think, and his company's now going to do like 2.8, that's crazy fast growth. For perspective, only 3% of companies ever hit $1 million. And so he and I started talking, and I asked him, tell me, like, what is your communication system plan, team with your team? What system do you use? How do you talk to them? When do you share with them? And he said, oh, well, it's pretty clear. I cast a vision once a week because I don't really like to meet with the team more than once a week. That's all I see. And it's only about 15 to 20 minutes. And I give them high level where I want to go, what we're going to do, how it's going to be, how we're going to hit 5 million. And then I do most of my communication one-on-one with a couple members of my team, and they communicate with everybody else for me. And, I have so much to do right now to figure out where we're going to go as a company that that's all I can take right now. I don't really talk to them any more than that. And I thought, here's what I can tell you about hearing that on the other side, for the team members in that company, it's an absolute, complete, and total nightmare. And the guy standing in front of me didn't even know it, because here's the challenge, is that so many entrepreneurs have been taught that as long as you just keep talking about the vision, your team will work things out. Well, I'm telling you something, that's wrong. That's BS. That's one of the biggest lies told in business. In fact, when you talk about your team or talk to your team about your vision and there isn't a plan, you actually give them anxiety. There's no clear win. It makes it harder for them. In fact, when you talk about your vision and where you're going to go in this big destination, it only gets your team feeling like they're going to lose. It only feels intimidating to your team. And after a while, inevitably, they start rolling their eyes, because when you come and tell them they're going to do something, but you don't tell them how, they feel like you are making it up. And the challenge is that far too many consultants out there and way too many books have this misconception that as long as the entrepreneur has a vision that they can keep alive in their head, somehow their team's going to figure it out. And I want you to know that is how you build a human sausage grinder for you and for everyone else in your company. You just can't do it. And I called the guy out this weekend. I mean, I'm blunt. I can't hold back. When I see an entrepreneur in pain, I heard pain in what he said. I call them out and tell them exactly where they're missing. And I said, you know what, man, here's the challenge. You're hiding from your team, and you're not telling them what's really going on. And you're not actually talking to your team. And what you're doing is you're getting in front of them for 20 minutes and telling them your dream, and you don't even know how they're going to get there. So it's just all fake. And he looked at me and he was like, what do you mean? You're blowing me away here. I've been told that I need to tell the team the vision. I've gotten really good at talking about the vision. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Because again, So many people have been convinced that if they talk about the vision, things are going to work. But here's what happens. When you cast the vision, you come in and you say, hey, we're at 2.8 and we're going to get to 5 and it's going to be so much better. And this is all the stuff that's going to happen. And here's how we're going to serve our customers. And it's going to be so much better. The culture is going to improve. Here's where we're going. And then if there's no plan, they have anxiety. You will actually create physical anxiety amongst your team, and they will not have a clear win. So when a team doesn't have a win or a plan, they can't see what to do next. So they get into like paralysis. And if they don't know what to do next, they won't. And then what starts happening is entrepreneurs say, well, I don't think my team's doing enough. I know they could be doing more. Well, of course they could be doing more. They don't know what they need to be doing because all you're doing is talking about your vision, which nobody can freaking see from where you're standing. And the problem is when you cast your vision, you create a huge target, you don't have a plan, you create anxiety. Then when there's no focus, the team can't create the maximum velocity that every entrepreneur wants. And let's be really honest, every one of us expects. But the challenge is if you're not giving your team a clear forward planning system where you're saying, here's where we're going, these are the outcomes, this is what we're going to do to get there, here's who's accountable for what, here are the scoreboards we're looking at, then it's your responsibility for how slow things are going, and you should stop casting your vision. Because telling them how it's going to get better without giving them a plan is crazy. It's crazy. You can't just motivate. You actually have to show people where you're going. And so if you don't know, then you make figuring it out part of the plan. And so when you don't have focus, everyone's going to do their best, but it's never going to feel good enough. When you don't know where you're really going, your entire team is going to seem like they're off because they are. When your team doesn't really know what you want and it's not really clear, then they are going to think they're not going to know what they should do. And here's the biggest one. What I identified immediately with the person that I was talking to in Boise was that he was in pain. I said, how long have you been hiding from your team? And he looked at me funny, and I said, come on, man. If you're only talking to your team 20 minutes a week, you're hiding from them. And if you're having individual meetings with each of your leadership team, but there's no team meeting, then you're literally making yourself monkey in the middle on purpose. And if you're talking to one person at a time and you're not letting everybody collaborate at the same time, usually that's because entrepreneurs don't want to, because there's a feeling of discomfort with not having all the answers. And here's one of the most glorious parts of an entrepreneur's career. It's that point where we figure out definitively that not only do we not have all the answers, but it's not even our job to have all of the answers. Getting through this lesson in business of understanding that you don't need to have all of the answers, that when you don't know an answer, it becomes part of the plan for your team to help you figure it out. That's how everything starts moving in an entirely new direction. And I know I can tell you this because on my own, I have a hard time doing a lot of things. But when I have a team and I say, here's the outcome I want, I look superhuman. People say all the time, how are you everywhere? How is it that you have the media exposure, social media exposure that you do? How do you get as much as you do done? How do you post so much? I do all of that through the power of the team. But it's a team where we say, here are the outcomes we want. Here is the plan to get there and exactly what each person's responsible for. Here are the scoreboards we're going to use to measure success along the way. And as a result, we knock it out of the park. And then we go straight at our client-centric mission. Ours is we change the lives of visionary entrepreneurs who can't turn it off and want to make a contribution just as much as they want to make a living. And we do this by creating the systems and frameworks that help them build multi-million-dollar empires. And the change we want to make as entrepreneurs lean into their strengths, and we will know we're successful when entrepreneurs build multi-million-dollar companies and leave their dent in the universe. That's where our team's going. That's what we want to do. And when I tell them that, and then we figure out our 1-year objectives and our quarterly targets and our 90-day and our 30-day goals and our weekly commitments, and then each day we have our huddle, our team pushes so hard on a daily basis. Our small team gets more done than I guarantee you some massive companies with 3 or 4 times as many people as we do, because there's such an incredibly high commitment level, but more importantly, because there's intense clarity around where the focus should be, what the next priority should be, what everyone's doing, and what we all need to do to be successful. And it's not from me talking about my vision. It's from me giving my team all of the tools that they need to be successful. If you're ready to do the same thing, go to billionairecode.com, answer a few questions for us, and you'll have an opportunity to book a call with a member of my team. They can collect some initial information from you and then let you know the options we have available where we can help you create the system and structure you need to scale a multi-million-dollar empire. If you've created an opportunity that's bigger than you can deliver today, then you owe it to yourself to reach out to us. Let us show you how to build a team that will help you reach the velocity and the contribution you've always wanted to make. billionairecode.com.